Okay. What is an investigation? Right? What is an investigation? At the end of the day, investigation means you are getting into the nitty-gritty of the crime. Why was the crime committed? Who committed it? Right? And for what purpose? What was the modus operandi? What was the murder weapon? Right? Then you file, once your investigation is complete, initially you will register an FIR, right? First information report. Then once your investigation is complete, you will register a charge sheet, right? Then once you register the charge sheet, that will be filed in court and then the court proceedings will start. Okay. Now, once the charge sheet is filed, the investigation is complete. That is the legal process. Okay. Over here, what we are seeing is charge sheet is filed. The accused have already been named. That means investigation is complete, right? And then a foot is left open, right? And then you say that, okay, we'll file another charge sheet. Now, you say the investigation is complete means you know who's done the crime, you know how that person has done the crime, you know why that person has done the crime, and now you have enough material to proceed with trial, right? When the next charge sheet is filed, the murderers have changed. The weapon has changed. And now, what weapon you say that we recovered the weapon? Now you say that weapon is not recovered only. Once you say the weapon is in Pune, right? On another occasion, you say the weapons are inside Thane Creek, right? Now, Thane Creek is not a joke because crores of rupees were spent dredging Thane Creek to recover these weapons. It is not a joke because crores of rupees were spent. Norwegian divers were called in, and imagine someone says, I dismantled a gun and threw it into the Thane Creek 6 years ago. And then you get dredgers and you dredge out the murder weapon and you find it intact. So what do you do to such people? Right? This is not a joke. It's an actual investigation that we are talking about here. This is actually what is happening in the court. You imagine this is there in the charge sheet. It's not a joke. That's why I'm telling you that what is this? Is this really a proceeding? Is this a proceeding of law, or are you just trying to fool around and let people off the hook here? What exactly is going on here? Right? Next slide. So, not only that, we see that there is the good old way of getting confessions with the police being used again. What is the good old way? उल्टा टांग दो इसको, इसके फैमिली वालों को बुला के लाओ. The same old techniques of torture till you confess. And not funny that 18 suspects, 15 have confessed. Okay, the remaining 3 have not confessed because they say कि तुम कुछ भी कर लो हम झूठ नहीं बोलेंगे, and then you go ahead and include their names in the charge sheet and their confessions which are not even signed. Is this a joke? This is a real investigation we are talking about. We are talking about 4 people who have been killed. Is this the cavalier manner in which you are going to treat this? Previous slide only, right? Now the evidence also I told you, the weapons, you know, you imagine the state of the forensic labs in our country. One lab gives a report that we have a match. This gun is what was used to fire those bullets. You have the gun, you have the bullets, you have a lab report. Case closed, right? And you have a person from whom you've recovered that weapon also, right? No, wrong. Because then they say, no, we have a second lab report here which says that's not the weapon. And actually we don't even have the gun, so we don't know whether this is the same gun from which it's fired or not. Right? So, now to solve 2 lab reports conflicts, what do? Exactly. And the 3rd lab report goes to the judge in what is the most objectionable thing seen nowadays in the Supreme Court, a sealed envelope. So till date we don't know what is in that, but apparently it's not the same as the first 2. Now, even that's not enough. The media trial. You read the articles, right? They are going to be breathless in their tone. These people met here, planned the murder, they committed camps for arms trainings, etc., etc. And when the matter comes to the court, right? And this is all unnamed source-based stories, okay? Unnamed source-based stories. When the matter comes to court, what happens? You get slapped because the witnesses tell you that there was nothing even remotely connected with arms trainings in those camps. They were spiritual camps. Again, I repeat, is this a joke? No. It's deadly serious because hundreds of people have been rounded up, tortured, and jailed since years. And this is what is happening. And now that's not still enough. What the next step that happens is you are intimidating the legal team themselves who are representing these accused. And so the lawyer representing the accused is arrested on conspiracy charges that he had participated in the conspiracy. Now you imagine a situation where a leading lawyer like Kapil Sibal or like Indra Jaising or like any of the others you can name is arrested even for 10 minutes. What hangama will happen? Imagine these guys actually represent Naxals in the court and nothing happens to them. And here we are talking of pathetic level investigation and the people getting affected. These are poor people. We are talking of really poor people. Koi chota sa pan wala hai, chota dukan wala hai. These category of people have been picked up. They are not any prominent activists, social people or anything. You've just picked up random people and put them inside and blame them. Catch them, you let them off. Say they are not the murderers. Why? You had the weapon. You had the forensic match. You've recovered the weapon from them. They have the same kind of motorcycle that was used for the attack. Right? But you never charge them. Why? You have the weapon, I told you already. Then you have a theory which is weaved that 4 different weapons. One weapon went to kill the other weapon went to kill the third, and third weapon went to kill the fourth. Right? And you have none of the weapons and you say the bullets are the same. Now look at these photographs. Do these pair on the left and the right look anything like each other? One is from one charge sheet, the murder 2013 Dabholkar murder. These are the sketches given by the witnesses who saw the crime happening, that these were the 2 people. Those are 2 sketches which appear after 3 years from the same set of witnesses. They don't even look similar. Obviously, you had someone in mind and you got them drawn. Otherwise, how can the sketches change? I mean, this is done by Pune police, that is done by CBI. Does a person's face change? This. 2013, whom do you blame? Manish Nagori, Vikas Khandelwal. 2016, you blame Sarang Akolkar, Vinay Pawar. 2018, you blame Sachin Andure and Pangarkar, who happens to be a Shiv Sena worker. Poor guy got dragged into this for no reason. Right? After that, from 2018, at least you have the same names because by then they had been arrested and they were languishing in the jail. Right? But you see the left side of the other side of it, the so-called planners have changed every damn year. Is this real? You bet it is real. This is actually what has happened. Govind Pansare case. 2016, you named Samir Gaikwad. After a few months of breathless investigation all across the media that he is the killer, he is identified, he had 50 mobiles with him, etc., etc., and all. The next year, your own minister tells that we don't have actually any proof against him and I don't think he's the killer, and his phone was somewhere else. Right? And then you name the same 2 people, Sarang Akolkar and Vinay Pawar. Right? And why do you name them? Because they are already missing since 5 years. They are missing since 2009. So very easy that you blame people who have been missing, so you don't have to really look anymore, right? Investigation closed. They are already absconding in some other case. They are only the killers. End of story. Look at the faces in the Gauri Lankesh murder case. This was the sketches drawn in the initial investigation. 3 suspects. Do they look anything similar like the next charge sheet which is filed? Those guys have specs. I mean, come on. This is not even remotely similar, right? Yeah, overnight surgery done. Imagine that. And you know the fun part? There were only 2 people on the bike. There wasn't a third person. And here you have 4 sketches. And you know what's even funnier? The guy was wearing a helmet in the night on a dark road. Poor guy is picked up, thrown in jail for no rhyme or reason of his. Right? Imagine for 2 people shooting a person on a bike, you draw 3 sketches and then you draw 4 sketches which don't look like each other. That means literally you have now 7 people you're looking for, right? So in this also Gauri Lankesh case, you see the coordinators keep changing based on what is developing in the other case. Not on merit of this case, but what's going on in the other cases. If someone is being hammered, the judge, the witnesses, the prosecution is being hammered in another case and saying that why are you holding this guy up? There's no evidence against him. Okay, we'll give him bail and he's charged in the next case. So witnesses who have been too scared to identify the person, I was too panicky, I never recognized who the person was. Later on, are brought in and they identify whoever you want twice, right? A guy was too far, he was about 600 feet away. He claims to have identified them and also read the bike number. Very good, great eyes, but it's beyond the vision sight range actually, right? Then you go on to identify 2 different sets of people as the killers, which I already mentioned earlier. And in the Pansare case, it's even funnier because different witnesses call different persons the killers. No 2 descriptions match. No 2 descriptions match. Each of the there were 3 actual eyewitnesses who saw this thing happening at close range. Okay, all 3 have named different people. Where does the investigation go from here? And what legs does any conspiracy theory have when the eyewitnesses who have seen it happening at 10-15 feet distance can't even identify correctly? Now, you'll say that, okay, it's a very common practice that witnesses are brought, the suspects are brought before the court and they often lie before the court that we were tortured and then just to get, into judicial custody and out of the investigation. But in these cases, the court has actually taken cognizance of the torture and refused to grant any further custody to the investigating agencies. They have actually refused to grant them further extensions and further custodies. So this is a very, very legit thing that has happened, that you have spun up a whole narrative and then you find that it has no legs to stand on. So what I'm saying is that the objective does not seem to be to get any justice for the deceased people. I may not agree with their ideology, but I don't want them dead, right? They have a purpose in the society, right? Everyone has a purpose in their society. Why would you want them to be dead? And why would you want the facts not to come out? Why would you want to use these murders as a political tool to attack your rivals? So this is where the unfortunate reality comes, that the leaders have already declared गोडसेवादी लोगों ने मर्डर किया है. इन्वेस्टिगेशन शुरू नहीं हुआ अब तक. 2 घंटे हुए हैं क्राइम होके. बोल दिया चीफ मिनिस्टर ने. And then your investigation team knows where to look, right? Why would they look anywhere else when your chief minister themselves is saying कि उसने किया उसको जाके उठाओ. Now, the book contains an entire section on Hindu activists and leaders who were killed exactly in the same way. And many of them, in fact, were killed with the same type of weapon also. Do we say that 4 people being shot over a span of 4 years is a conspiracy, and dozens of people being killed in a year or 2 is just violence? especially when those murders have been committed by just one single organization. This is one problem with the narrative, that you get so much into narrative building that you forget what the facts are. And that is where the inspiration this book came from. That I don't want this sort of a distorted thing to continue. This is not good for our society, right? If any government comes and repeatedly goes on arresting people based on ideological reasons rather than facts, where's the society going to end? This is bad for all of us, right? So I am saying that we need to get seriously into police reforms. This is so much of discussion has happened on this. So many reports have come in this. So many court judgments have come that you need to reform the way the police works. You can't continue doing this sort of haphazard, half-hearted, tin pot investigation with your best officers doing this kind of work, right? The guy whom I just showed you the photographs, the CBI guy, right? The chief of CBI who did that investigation of Dabholkar, you saw the faces change and you saw the people change. He has been awarded President's Medal for Meritorious Service. That's what it is. I mean, what do I say? It's not a joke. Unfortunately, I wish it were, but there are real lives at stake here. So you can contact me. You can feel free to ask any questions. I'll be happy to take them. And please, please, please buy the book.